do 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 do. Ah, all right, yes, the Rolling Stones. Number 2. Was made in 1965. Not very well titled, are they? The first Rolling Stones albums. Not on the covers, anyway. Picked up the number 2 album for like £5 a few years ago from a record shop. Bargain, isn't it? Original 1965 copy. Bargain. Yes. Yes. That can go. Do 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 do. Name that song. Ah, a refreshing cider. Do 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 do. It's all very quiet. Why is it so quiet? I don't know. It just is. Don't know if I can play music. Am I allowed to play music without getting a copyright strike from frigging YouTube? Oh man. It's all so quiet. Hello, 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 Ian. Hello, William. Hello, the Astro Zombie. I'd like to play a song for like a minute and talk about it. Good way to avoid a strike. 7 seconds of copyright music is allowed, apparently. Yeah, apparently. You're not allowed to play music Not allowed. Not allowed to play that song. You can play that one, but not that one. That's the rules. If you do it 3 times, you're out of here. You're gone. As simple as that. Your history. Forget about your channel, all your hard work you put into making your videos. 3 mistakes and you're out. Yeah. 3 mistakes. That's all it takes. And your history from YouTube world. Pretty cutthroat, really, isn't it? Very cutthroat. I'm not quite here. Rocky back on form. It's not quite here. Rocky back on form. I played the entire songs and gotten away with it. Beatles songs are typically a big no-no. Oh yeah, you can't play any Beatles. Absolutely not. Beatles. No Beatles. No Beatles on YouTube. I think that is because there is discrepancies of who owns the music. I think that's the reason why. Because didn't Michael Jackson buy Paul McCartney's music rights? I think that included the Beatles. And didn't he go to court over it? Try and get him back. Get some motherfucking doom on. Yeah. Ray seems to be the expert in getting away with playing music. He does. He's done it for quite some time, hasn't he? He knows what he can get away with and what he can't. 1 beer left. That's all he's got. 1 beer. Rappers screaming all in our ears like we're deaf. Evening Simon. Evening Jimmy. Someone thought I should play some clips on my top 10s. Yeah, you could. You could. I heard the Eagles are the worst for taking down channels. I have done Beatles shorts, says Ian. Jimmy, I'll tell you from the first-hand experience, YouTube hates live stream and copyrighted content more than they dislike you using certain material for normal videos. I quite agree. They seem to be a lot more. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Maybe more protective for themselves over when it comes to streaming than it is for actually placing music in videos. Jenny. Hey fellas, says Jenny. All right, Jen. Hey, Jen. Jimmy, ditch the RG crew entirely. All these idiots who do these multi-hour music streams, they'll get their collar felt by the copyright Gespasto sooner or later. That's probably true. That's probably true. I am not a member of that crew, though, says Jimmy. Okay, then do your thing, says William. I hate the fucking Eagles. Yeah, I can't say I'm a big fan of Eagles. Well, they're okay, but I'm not a big fan of Hotel California. I know some people absolutely love it, but for me, it's like meh, it's all right. Rather listen to something else. I'm sure there's plenty better music, but it's a classic. Meh. Sergeant Peppers and Revolver are shots on my channel. We can get away with mostly anything for about an hour, then the VC police show up. If you use the music from your YouTube music thing, it's fine, Ian, but playing from records or CDs will get them taken down eventually. Are you talking about in live streams or are you talking about in videos? I mean, I've got plenty of stuff in videos, old videos, which has music in, and most of it is left alone. But you do get the occasional video that gets pulled now and then, despite being there for years, just suddenly, nope, can't have that one no more. That video's gone. It took me days to make, hours. No, can't have it. Can't have it, says YouTube. Even though it's been on there for like, I don't know, 4 years maybe. Well, however long. We've changed our minds. Well, I don't think it's a case of they change their minds. It's a case that like the licenses change, swap hands, so to speak. So what was okay is no longer okay. I like your reading of the chat better than the chat itself. Yeah, thank you, Jenny. Take it that you're talking about me. Assume you're talking about me. Ian says, none of my shorts have been pulled down yet. Give it time. Give it time. It's like Instagram. They remove most of my videos with a record playing, so now you may use music clips thing they have usually. TikTok has changed. I wouldn't know. I don't use TikTok. Who uses TikTok? There's so much, isn't there? So many different platforms now. Can't keep up with it. TikTok, Instagram, social media such as YouTube, Facebook. Do you really need all of it? Do you really need all of it? I don't know. I tend to stick to one or two, not be on basically everything, It's too much exposure. Jimmy says, nope, never use TikTok, never will. Riddled with Chinese spyware, apparently. Yes, so I've heard. But that's not particularly the reason why I don't use it. It's just just don't need it. I find YouTube in its whole entirety is enough to satisfy me, without TikTok. In TikTok, I don't really know. Is it just like shorts on TikTok? I mean, what good is that for someone like me who talks about vinyl and buys records and CDs and things? I can't compress that all down into 1 minute. A short wouldn't work. I need the variation of doing shorts and normal videos and live streams and that flexibility, which I'm assuming TikTok doesn't have to offer. YouTube 10-15 years ago was wild. You could find everything on here. Yeah, I think it was pretty open to anything, wasn't it? You could upload, I wouldn't say anything, but you could get away a lot more then than you can now. And you actually had little communities which developed, and it just expanded and expanded until what has become today. It's full of twats. Yep. And it's getting bigger. Everywhere's full of twats. Twats are non-avoidable. But I think regarding TikTok, yes, there is probably more on there than on here maybe. I think TikTok is, I don't know, seems more open for people, doesn't it? Anyone can go on there and make TikTok videos. You don't really need to have too many brain cells to go and do that, do you? Talk about growing a beard suddenly, if you're a woman, stuff like that. I've grown a beard, I'm becoming a man, and I'm angry. It seemed to be Chinese version of Vine originally, with short clips, but there seems to be fairly long vids on there now. I'm no expert. I don't touch the platform with a barge pole. Nor me. Words of the wise here, Jimmy Barnes. Who doesn't love a good twat? Yes. Wise man, not a moron. Yes. Well said, Jimmy. Not a moron. Hashtag not a moron. Hashtag wise man. You moron. You moron. Who likes to use the word moron to the absolute most? You moron. You moron. He's a moron. Rachel, he's a moron. If you've got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. I know, right? I've got GCSEs. What Rodney says, I've got GCEs. Doesn't like Rodney have just the one or two, doesn't he? That's what they used to call them, GCEs, wasn't it? Can't even get the acronym the right way round. Perhaps I am. Do you like any hip hop? Yeah, I like a bit of hip hop. A bit. I'm not mad on it, but a bit. I'm sure others in the chat like a bit of hip hop. What am I doing? Let's get rid of this avatar and go live properly. The flag is up, so we're all good to go. What am I doing? Just that a touch. Now the reason I look this way a lot is because my screen is over here and the camera is over here. So that's why I'm constantly looking in this direction. If I place the camera on top of the monitor, it's just too high, as you can see. It's too high. So that is the reason why. In case you were wondering. You probably weren't, but maybe you was. Who knows? It's a bit high up. Bring it down. Just a touch. Just a smidge. I've got my cider. Thatcher's Cloudy Lemon. And it's a Friday. I'm chilling out. But not by doing very much. Jimmy says, I like some hardcore gangster rap, but I'm not considered a major fan. Do you like prog? Pink Floyd, and that's about it really. Most prog to me is navel-gazing self-indulgence. Yeah, I got to see them in 95 with Ronald Jones 2, my favourite Lips era, 95 to 99. I've never really seen PF as a prog band per se. Proggish, yes, but not pure prog. King Crimson, yes, Canterbury prog, etc. Yes, Simon, you don't want to have a George Borden camera angle. Someone said his angle is passive aggressive, and I knew what he meant. It is. Is it? Can a camera angle be passive aggressive? Is that even a thing? Is it aggressive because it's head on? Is that what you're saying? It's like, it's too direct with the face. As the slight slant to the face is less aggressive. Not as intense. Not looking eye to eye. Great period, 95 to 99. Borden feels that way. Then again, he can go live for 12 hours swearing at all his guests, so he's the aggression expert. Is he? Is he? I wouldn't know. Well, he seems all right. Seems all right with what I've seen, but doing a 12-hour stream or a 24-hour stream. I mean, that's some shift, isn't it? I mean, Jesus. You've got to be covering like all sorts of emotions in that time, aren't you? What do you do when like you need a crap? You just sort of just leave the stream. Just go to the toilet. Be back in 5 minutes. Feel free to chat amongst yourselves. Gonna have dinner now. You know, surely you know, I mean, that's a whole day taken up. 24 hours. I mean, or even 12 hours. I mean, that's like a marathon, isn't it? Marathon stream. When I get up, you know, I've got to do something productive. You know, every day I've got to like be doing something, you know, contributing to something. Even if it's going out and, I don't know, mowing the lawn or washing the car or doing something constructive, you know. I have to be doing at least a bit of that, you know, before I can sit down and, I don't know, watch a bit of TV or whatever, you know. I like to be in the knowledge that I've achieved something in the day. Every day, you know. When I'm working, you know, I finish work, I just, you know, I like to chill out because I've worked 7 hour or whatever shift. You know, but when I'm not working, I want to be doing things I don't normally get to do when I work, sort of thing. You know, I've got a bit more energy to do them, a bit more time. Yo, Gorilla, King Gorilla. Astronaut diapers required. I do a whack-a-mole when I choose my needle drop Saturday off screen. I'm doing a whack-a-mole. Let's do a whack-a-mole right here, but like not vinyl, CDs. I'm doing a whack-a-mole. I can't see what I'm doing. You know, I could be pulling out vinyl here and end up dropping it and smashing it on the floor, but luckily they're CDs and they're a lot more robustible. And what do we have here? Elvis Presley, Jailhouse Rock. Yes. What should we do now? I mean, I'm cheating here because I can kind of see on camera, so I'm gonna have to close my eye. Go low. Go low. I could be pulling out like completely like guilty pleasure here and completely embarrass myself. Or I could be pulling out this. Body count. Born dead. Apparently, the guitarist on this, in this band, plays like Hendrix. That'd be my rock section. Well, my heavy metal section. Up here would be my rock section. Whole wall of rock. And punk. And whatever else. And we got Queen, Greatest Hits 2. So there you go. There's three albums. How many does it normally? What's the standard for a rock? A whack-a-mole? Or is it 5 or something? The Central World, Kate Bush. There you go. These are pretty good albums, actually. I'm doing all right. Let's go high. Let's go high. Somewhere over here. Trust me, I don't know what this is. The Cream of Clapton. Best of the best. For £1. £1. I mean, you know, you can't argue with that. For £1. Bit of Clapton. So there you go. There's my whack-a-mole. So we've got Elvis Presley, Jailhouse Rock. We've got The Central World, Kate Bush. Queen, Greatest Hits 2. Body Count, Born Dead. £2. £2? Oh, yeah, £2's not bad. I don't know if I actually did pay that or it was knocked down a bit. Who knows? But it's got £2 on there. And Eric Clapton, The Cream of Clapton, for £1. There you go. A mini whack-a-mole. Vinyl Dale style. You all right, Nick? How you doing? I better set an invite, haven't I? Blathering away here. Meh, I'll leave it for £1. An hour a fortnight is plenty for me, but it tends to go way over what I wish. You're right, Jason. Oop. You're right, Ian.
Yes. Before I forget, I did check where you're on your mug.
Apparently,
it has been dispatched.
It has. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I will pick it up as soon as I see it.
Yes, I even made sure that it went to the right address because I know Mick's first one came to me because that was stupid idiot sent it to me.
All right. But you've been busy doing your videos and whatnot.
Not today. I did I knew I was going to, when I put my schedule for this month together, I knew that I was got a busy week, like the previous week with birthdays and that. So I wanted something really short for today. And I did a 2-album ranking live album of Talk Talk and a new album. Everything was done by 11 o'clock. Thank you.
All right. So a half day then.
I've had a Poets Day today on the channel.
Bit of a break.
Yeah, I've brought a another shelving thing to hold that holds 220 albums.
Right.
And I've managed to get all my vinyl, including 12 inches, all in one place now. So I've been productive.
Well done.
Yeah, it's all in one place now.
That's a bit easier then, isn't it?
Yeah. Good evening, Jimmy.
Good evening, Ian. Evening, Simon.
Right?
Yeah. You?
Yeah, not bad. Cup of coffee?
Yeah, decaf, of course. I don't have any caffeine at this time or not.
No. I don't. If I have a coffee after 6 o'clock at night, it's decaf.
Yeah, same. All my drinks are decaf after about Friday. 7 or 8.
I'm on Badger tonight.
Yeah. I'm on the cider.
Nothing wrong with cider.
Finish off these cider cans.
I just wish you could get Rattler in the supermarket.
Rattler.
I've never, Rattler cider.
Yeah. Can I order it online?
I haven't found it anywhere. I must, because I do like, as I said last night, I do like a cider when it's hot. And I mean, I was so glad of it last week.
Favorite band of the 2000s? Oh, I don't know about that. I have to think about that. Could you name a favorite band of the 2000s?
Oh, don't say Arctic Monkeys again. They were getting too much love yesterday on Ian's.
No, I wouldn't say Arctic
My
Monkeys.
favourite band of the 2000s? God.
I don't know. There's a few bands that spring to mind, but I couldn't name the favourite, you know?
Transatlantic. There is a lot of old legends got together and made a band. I suppose early Muse would have been, because they were pretty big. And
yeah, I like Muse. I can remember going to HMV and buying like 3 albums of Muse.
Yeah, but I wouldn't go and say they're my favourite now.
No.
They've sold out a little bit.
I would say my favourites tend to be the earlier part of the 2000s.
Yeah, I mean, I love Showbiz, Origins of Symmetry. They are brilliant albums.
Showbiz, I think, is the better one. I think
that is a good. But they're great albums. They are. And then
Yeah.
I've got some of their singles before the album come out, and there's some great tracks on there. I mean, you had the third album. I can't remember its name now. The Copulets, Please, or something.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, Absolution.
That's it.
Yeah, that was good. It started, I suppose, Black Holes and Revelations is all right, but when they did The Resistance, that's when the wheels, to me, fell off a little bit.
Yeah.
And their last album was just a pile of dung.
Yeah, I like the first and second album, but the third I'm not quite so into.
They started going commercially, and now Matt Bellamy's so far up his own backside.
I think they were one of my overrated bands when we did a sodcast about them, Muse. I don't think they're rubbish, but just could never get into them. I thought, well, I don't see the appeal really. But
I don't like them anymore. I really don't.
Then again, another one of my overrated bands. It was Queen. I really thought Richard had fallen out with me. Legitimately, he seemed really angry.
With Queen, I think their most productive and their best period was
you could probably
73.
throw Oasis in there, really, because they still were. I mean, they weren't bad. They were still good. I mean, Standing on the Shoulders of Giants was a pretty darn good album, you know, and they were quite persistent in making albums, weren't they?
It grew. Like, I didn't like Shoulder of Giants very much for years, but when I started collecting mini discs and I got all the Oasis stuff that I used to have it on CD, listened to it, and I thought, you know what, this is actually a damn good album.
It is, yeah. I think it is appreciated many years later, when it is, you know.
But I think for me, for the 2000s, have been bands that I grew up on who went through very lean periods in the 80s and 90s. And they've come back strong and they're still making good albums. Examples: Saxon, Uriah Heep, and Judas Priest. They are now making really good albums again.
Yeah. They
And
sort of like,
Magnum were another band. I mean, their last 3 albums are probably some of their best albums since the 80s, to be quite honest. You know, it's like the same with Saxon. You know, their last 3 albums have just been absolutely stonking. Okay, they did a couple of cover albums during the COVID period to keep them ticking over, but I think most bands did. So, you know, but their last couple of albums are just absolutely brilliant.
there's probably about 5 bands I could probably throw out there who I really enjoyed in the 2000s. Oasis, of course, Stereophonics, The Killers, Snow Patrol, Keen. I know Jimmy doesn't like Keen.
Oh, can't stand them.
Yeah, Keen.
Music for bedwetters. Not that I'm saying you've pissed the bed recently, Simon.
No.
Yeah, that private message. You said it was at least a year ago, didn't you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, it's just to name a few.
And of course Rammstein.
Yeah, well, I mean, the release. How many albums did they release in the 2000s? 4, I think. But they started in the 90s. So if you're on about bands who technically
they're another band. I think they really was productive during the 2000s, weren't they?
Yeah. It's been their most productive decade, certainly. I love Las Vegas. They started in the 2000s, but it was like more the tail end. So perhaps, you know, they've been most productive in probably the 2010s, I think. So
I love Travis, but they're not really sort of some. I mean, they did have albums in the 2000s, but the best one, The Man Who, was in the 90s, wasn't it? So
the first Travis album, I think I showed it on Ian's 90s thing a couple of weeks ago. It's surprisingly sort of, you know, proper Britpop. Really, it's not soft rock like the other one. Well, I like the next 2 albums. I've got
that's the one with Happy on it, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah.
Tied to the 90s was a great single.
Yeah,
All I Want to Do Is Rock was good as well. Yeah, they were a relatively different proposition when they started out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of music in 2000s was pretty piss poor, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
it was dominated by the X Factor music.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the race to Christmas #1 certainly stopped being enjoyable from about 2003, 2004. Once all the talent shows were bringing us, you know, their winners, and sometimes the non-winners were bringing out singles every Christmas. It was like, you know, it all sort of backed by Simon Cowell, who I've got major problems with.
It wasn't just him. There were others, weren't they? Wasn't there Pop Idol and
yeah,
Stars the Rivals? Which, to be fair, Pop Stars the Rivals did produce Girls Aloud, and I am a Girls Aloud fan. You know, for pure pop music, and I'm probably not speaking to the right audience here, but I've got a lot of time for Girls Aloud. I really have. You know, one of the last great manufactured pop acts for me, maybe even the last great one.
I mean, I think the biggest thing was when they had Hearsay and Liberty X, didn't they? And the one that everyone thought was the better band comes second. But it's amazing that Liberty X became bigger than Hearsay, didn't
it? Hearsay kind of sort of
made one album, disappeared. But Liberty X, they were pretty solid, weren't they?
Yeah, they did all right. They weren't too bad, Liberty X. Not my cup of tea, really. But one or two of their singles I thought were all right. Yeah.
21st Century album, blimey now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the easy one for me. Well, it's not, but I can think of quite a few that are in contendership. The Sound of Music by Lieback is brilliant, and people need to go and listen to that. In fact, I'm tempted to ask Ian to put Lieback on his laundry list, but I know you don't like long rank. Although you got to do a long ranking because she
I
said
do. I do long rankings on Wednesdays.
Go on then. Can you put lie back on then?
Lie
So
back. I'll write that down.
I want to rank them, and I haven't been able to face doing it yet because.
So I'll do the heavy lifting then.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to wait for you to do yours and see how you've tackled it, what you include and maybe what you leave, because they've got soundtracks and their discography is like all muddled and confusing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll write it down.
I suggested Las Vegas a few weeks ago, but that they've only done 4 so far, so that should be a pretty easy one for you.
Yes. Martin dressed as lamb, says Nick. Girls allowed.
Well, when they first started out, they're only like sort of late teens, early 20s, Nick. Perhaps nowadays, so that they have I think they're on tour very soon, I think. Because I think they play Nottingham Arena only like a couple of days or so, either before or after the Pet Shop Boys show I'm going to. Because when I told someone, I said, I'm going to a gig at Nottingham Arena. Like, before I got to tell her it was Pet Shop Boys, she looked up what was coming up at Nottingham Arena. She said, oh, you're going to see Girls Aloud, are you? I'm like, no. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Like I said, I like Girls Aloud. I don't like them enough to go and see them live, though. I knew they wouldn't be your scene, Nick, but...
No.
Yeah, Sarah Harding spent some time in Northampton as a child, apparently.
Yeah, it was sad when she died because just how young she was.
Yeah, she was what, 39, something like that, 39, 40, wasn't she?
Yeah. I'm not sure she'd even hit 40, had she? Yeah.
No. Yeah, she's sort of got a connection with Northampton. She weren't born here, but I think she spent some time here as a child.
Yeah, Atomic Kitten were like an OMD, not spin-off, but it was Andy McCluskey who basically wrote for them and produced them, I think, did he?
Yeah, I think he had a lot to do with them, yeah.
He certainly wrote for him, and I think sort of like probably chose the initial members, I'd have thought.
Yeah. See, there was the other one, the Sugar Babes.
Yeah, they weren't bad.
Yeah, they were the band that had at one stage had no original members.
Yeah, they were the Triggers Broom of pop music, weren't they?
There must have been loads of them that's come and gone, haven't they?
But they're back together, the original 3, I think.
Yeah, they have been for a few years now.
And then you got Bewitched. Do you remember them from Ireland?
Yeah. All right. And cards on the table. I had their first 3 singles, Bewitched, and I have got their first album still now. I've got it on MD, but it was a cheap MD. I've actually been looking because they've got the second album's on mini disc as well. And occasionally it comes around quite cheap, and I keep missing the boat on it. So, but I do want it because I've got the first one anyway. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't buy it on any other format. It's been reissued on vinyl fairly recently, and I wouldn't buy it. But I want it on mini disc because I've got the first one.
Yeah, I like Sugar Babes Push the Button, and that was a good song. Good pop song that was.
Bewitched. All Saints, Mystique, Destiny.
Oh, I liked All Saints. Thought they were.
Yeah,
all right.
I associate them more with the tail end of the 90s, but Pure Shores was a great single.
I brought that on
one of my favourites of, I think it was 2000 that possibly came out because it was on the Beach soundtrack, weren't it?
Yeah, I like that Pure Shores. It's great.
It's a great single, one of the best of that year, I think.
Yeah, and the harmony, and them 4 girls could actually sing.
I quite like the cover of Under the Bridge as well, funnily enough.
Yeah,
I don't think it went down well with certain Chili Peppers fans, but I thought it were a good cover myself.
Yeah, I thought that they did a good version of it. actually.
Yeah.
The Bangles are still going. You know that?
Bang. Yeah. I believe they are. Yeah.
Or Sue Van Hoff. Yes. She was a. She's still. I mean, she's just had, I think, a 60th birthday.
Yeah, she's still
And
still
she's
a
still as fit
fine
as a.
looking woman, isn't she? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Delightful, as I said last night. Delightful.
Yeah. I mean,
You see, I hated the Spice Girls, right? But I do like Melanie Chisholm.
yeah. First album, Northern Star. I've got that. It's good. I've got all the Spice Girls studio albums.
No, I love that Northern Star. I mean, I even like Never Be the Same Again. I think that is a quirky.
It's good. I think all the singles off it were
Yeah.
pretty good. It was a good album for singles, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean
Certainly
that was one of Lisa Left Eye's last performances, wasn't it? Before she got.
Yes, yeah. I don't think it was
killed.
too long, and she died. Yeah.
She was killed in an accident, wasn't she?
Yes, yeah, some sort of car accident, I think.
Yeah.
TLC you're talking about.
Yeah. I didn't like them because they started out sort of early to mid 90s, and I weren't too keen. But when they brought out No Scrubs and Unprettier, I really liked them. I bought both those singles. I didn't buy the album. I probably would pick it up if I saw it cheap somewhere. Doubt it's on vinyl, and I know it didn't come out on MD. I'm pretty certain it didn't, but I would pick that album up if I saw it kind of, in a charity shop or something for a few pennies.
Waterfalls was #1 when I was born, so this guy said that would have been mid-90s.
That means Astro's pretty young, doesn't it? Then because Waterfalls were about 90.
God, I was
5. I said.
I was. What was I doing when that was coming out? Working my butt off somewhere. I can't remember what I was doing. I was working in residential care somewhere. No, there was some very strange stuff in, and that bloody frog song. Ning, 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 ning.
Oh, God. Oh.
How the hell did that get to #1? It was shocking.
That crazy frog, you were all over the place for a while, weren't he? You were like an early kind of meme almost, and it was all to do with like selling mobile ringtones, wasn't it? Strange.
Yeah. And then Blobby and the Teletubbies, and no, they were the 90s, weren't they? The Teletubbies.
Yeah, they were 90s. Yeah, late 90s, I think. Yeah, that was another fad which came and went, wasn't it? Was it Teletubby dolls for Christmas? Like selling out like hotcakes.
Mm.
Yes, Crazy Frog ruined Axel F. Jason's absolutely right. I like the Axel F, but I certainly don't like Crazy Frog. Oh, Martin, Coldplay, I think they're utter shite. I can't stand Coldplay. They're boring.
No, yeah. They were great in the time, the early.
Oh, they're all. I always say that's the band when you run out of anaesthetic at hospitals, just play them a Coldplay track. Send anyone to sleep.
They're just average, aren't they now?
And they're a bit woke, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, Chris Martin, he's like high on the scent of his own farts, isn't he?
They stopped touring because they're creating litter. I mean, what a moron.
If he's that bothered about the environment, why don't he just stop it all? Stop making music. Sit in his chair.
Do us all a favour and stop making music.
Do you give the best band to Coldplay for the 2000s? I think they're worthy of it.
No.
I'd rather give it Crazy Frog.
Parachutes is a great album. Rush of Blood to the Head is a great album.
early Coldplay is fine for what it is, but it never particularly excited me. You know, it never made this is the next. I never thought this is the next big thing, and that was back when they were Chris Martin was reasonably likable. And then
I thought with Coldplay they had some great intros.
Bono hat on, didn't he? And then it's like, I don't mind Bono. I know he rubs a lot of people up the wrong way, and I know why. I can see why, but for me, Chris Martin is even worse. He really is. Just that sort of pompous, do-gooding bell.
Yeah. I mean, I like the intro to Clocks. I think that's a great intro, and the rest of the trap's awful. That intro, that song should be a great song with an intro like that.
Mm.
It's a bit of and then it goes into this anti-climax.
I like Viva La Vida, but I've only really started to like the Coldplay version more because Pet Shop Boys covered it a few years later, and I think their version's better for me. But it did make me appreciate Coldplay's version a little bit, but even then, that's for me. It's like it's one of very few of theirs that I'd choose to listen to.
I think you could say Coldplay were the best band of the 2000s. I honestly do, because it wasn't particularly a great decade, was it? It wasn't sort of like the previous ones.
It depends what you're into, really. If you're just on about mainstream music, then no, it probably wasn't a great decade. But there's always good stuff out there. I mean, how will people look back on this decade? Will it be like, we're all Taylor Swift? It's like, well, no, it's all Taylor Swift if all you're doing is, looking on TikTok and Instagram and
but that's what the majority of people are doing now, isn't it? The mainstream, isn't it? As it is for most people.
Yeah, I think there's another band from that period. That I really didn't like.
Blink-182 is a band I've always really liked as well, especially in the 2000s. Thought they were brilliant.
Oh, Slipknot. That was a good thing. Slipknot. I could not see the fascination with Slipknot.
No, I couldn't get into them.
No, I couldn't.
But, I'll tell you about U2. I knew that things were on the decline when I saw them on the Joshua Tree tour. Because Bono started preaching.
Yeah.
And there were people saying, get on with it.
Yeah. For me, Bono, he sort of signposted his bellendery a little bit a few years predating that, because when Ian Curtis died of Joy Division, U2 had come over to record, I think, their first album or their first single with Martin Hannett, the Joy Division producer. And they'd sat in on a couple of Joy Division recording sessions as well, U2. And when Ian Curtis died, soon after, Bono went up to Tony Wilson and he said, look, I know you're sad about Ian Curtis dying, but we, as in U2, will take over from him and Joy Division and will carry on their legacy. And although Tony Wilson, weirdly enough, was, he felt that was quite the compliment, but for me, it's just a really sort of cringy thing to say, to be honest.
That probably got up Hookie's nose, hence one.
Yeah, he did, because he talked about it in his biography. And
I know he's not a great fan of U2, has he, Peter Hook? No. He never says anything nice about them, does he? But he doesn't slag them off, but he doesn't sing their praises.
I think.
So I
think Blink-182 will probably have to be, for me, the best band of the 2000s.
I liked them, but they're a bit of a comedy pop punk act for me, really. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It sounds a bit derogatory, I know, but for them to be I couldn't call them the best of that decade by any stretch. Linkin Park, I was quite into them for a while. I've got 2 albums of theirs. The first one and the like remixy one that came out. Got them on vinyl and they're great albums. I've just something's stopping me from deep diving into them a bit more. I don't know why, because I do like the albums, but I've just never gone any further with them really.
I think out of them 3 bands we've mentioned, I think Linkin Park probably were the best of them trio.
Yeah. I liked their mashups with Jay-Z that they did. They released, it was like a mini album or an EP, where it would be like a Jay-Z track and a Linkin Park song mashed up. But it was like, you know, they recorded them together properly. It wasn't just some DJ doing it. Because that was when, you know, mashups and bootleg stuff was becoming really, really popular in about the mid-2000s. And I had that on CD for quite a few years, and I always enjoyed it. I just wished it was a bit of a longer album because it's only got like 6 tracks on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with Royce Batty Jr. as much, but I'm with you on that one. I am absolutely with you on that one. I think they did write catchy pop songs, and they're still around today. That's a very, very good point.
I do love "I Miss You." I think that's their best single.
That is nice.
And I like the video for it as well. The video's like it's got this real sort of gothic feel to it. Like, yeah, I mean, it was quite unlike what had come before with Blink, I think, because they'd been sort of like this kind of American Pie style comedy trio, and then suddenly "I Miss You" comes out, and it's all a bit sort of serious and doomy. But it's a great single. What year did it come out? Around 2003, 2004?
Yeah,
maybe?
I think it was. Yeah,
and it's a brilliant song. So I can listen to that any day. Really, I love it.
Yeah, it's a great single. Great albums, Enemy of the State and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Just brilliant albums. But went off the boil a bit after then, didn't they?
Yeah, Astro singing it. Yeah, see, like it's one of those songs. You read like someone typing the lyrics out like that, and you can hear the guy. I always forget his name. The singer's voice in you.
Yeah, this is what I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. I can't do it. Just yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just. I mean, that was the odd glimmers of hope in the beginning, wasn't there, of the 2000s?
Yeah, it's like I say, it's all that sort of mainstream, really. If you look beyond the mainstream to an extent, then every decade's got its pluses and every decade's got its minuses. I mean, when we get round to doing the 60s top 30 number ones of the 60s tier list, I mean, I think we'll find there's a relative amount of iffy stuff. I nearly said dross, but like kind of cheesy, croony type stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously doing a lot of birthday top 10s.
Yeah,
they're so diverse, especially in America.
They're
no disrespect to you Americans, but we were listening to all the pop bands over here, and you were still doing orchestral and
yeah,
and it's like the 70s. You missed out on glam rock. Completely missed out on glam rock. Yeah, Feeder did come into their own in the 2000s, didn't they?
Yeah, Feeder are a good band. Yep.
Yeah, I like Feeder. I am a bit of a Feeder fan.
Great album.
And I like Ash.
Ash, yeah, as well.
And Suede. So
yeah. Suede.
Oh, you're a Suede fan. Did you see my Suede album ranking?
I have, because I've got mine in my book to do.
Oh, what's coming up is I'll look forward to that.
Yes,
see how similar
it was probably more likely to be July now. But yeah, it's coming up in the next few months.
Yeah. You need to give me a heads up when live, but I know it won't be for ages because you've got such a long list. But even if it's like 3 years' time, just remind. Oh, Jimmy, I've got the Lieback ranking because.
Well, the only way you get your out requests done quick if they are more than 13 albums.
Ooh. They might be, you know, but that's what I don't know if you're going to leave any. It's because I look up the discography and I'm like, oh god, I don't know if I should include this or that. It's such a head fuck.
Green Day as well. We didn't mention Green Day. They're a great band of the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah, Green Band.
Green Day.
I like that. They're like ordering a steak before being served a beef burger.
Although Nick doesn't.
I mean, that band we saw last week were very Green Day. Nick and I said when they finished, they were like a Green Day.
Yeah, Nick wasn't complaining then, were you, Nick? Yeah. At a certain time when something was going on, it was all right, wasn't it?
I mean, I like the arrogance of Green Day. When they did their first gig, I think it was at Woodstock or something.
Yeah.
And they went out and said, "How are you, pompous gits, you rich bastards?"
I like them in the 90s.
I mean, everyone loves it. The Basket Case is great. It's a fun tune.
They didn't think they were going to get as big as they did. They just, you know.
They did it because they wanted to. And they enjoyed it. They weren't looking for big fame, were they? They just wanted to go out and have a jolly time.
Yeah, and they just got really big, didn't they?
Bigger than what they thought, which is a nice way to do it. So I had to change the mode of the light because it was a bit bright on me.
Yeah, feet are
okay. That was something like that, Nick. It's my own worst enemy's classes.
What about American Pie in the chat?
I do like the American Pie films. Even those dodgy spin-offs that had barely any of the proper casting and were all right.
They're all right, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Except the last
one. To rewatch them or anything. I think once you watch them once, the sequels.
Yeah. Once is enough. But the proper ones, the American Pie 1, 2, The Wedding, it was a bit patchy.
I think the best character then, he appears in a lot of them, and that's Eugene Levy as Jim's dad. I think he was my favourite character.
Yeah.
Mike here with quite the statement. Americans can't really do punk. Got a feeling he's right.
Yeah, I mean, well, they rejected Blondie to start with, didn't they? They were more Blondie in 1980 were more popular here in the UK than in their home country.
It's kind of like a commercial punk, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
Green Day and Blink-182.
Yeah, I mean, how would they have coped with bands like the Dead Kennedys in America?
Sex Pistols.
Yeah, Sham 69. That's great bands.
Green Day gained credibility with American Idiot, but I also feel it was a lot of luck. Was never a big fan of either of them or Blink-182. I'm surprised about that, being that Dusty is an American.
I just think, no disrespect for, I think if it's not what they're normally like, they don't go down rabbit holes as much as us, do they? They like to play safe. And a lot of people of my age like to play safe. I don't. I'll listen to anything once.
Yeah, but like they're not always in charge of their own music, are they? Like certain bands are persuaded by management and what have you to go down a certain path. You know?
Yeah, I think that was very more evident in the 80s, wasn't it? The record companies wanted everybody to make an MTV hit.
Yeah. And it's still quite relevant, though, isn't it? Even now, you know.
Yeah, I mean, some of the bands I think heavy metal really suffered during MTV years because it was all about looking good and big hair, and the music didn't seem to be important. It was second fiddle.
The looks suddenly became more important than the actual music.
Yeah.
Sadly,
yeah. I mean, one or two bands were good. I mean, Cinderella, okay, they had all the big hair and everything, but they were really good. Yeah, I mean, Bon Jovi, they got very commercial, but they went on to be quite successful. And then Poison, Motley Crue. I mean, I think one of the bands that really benefited more from the 80s than any of them was Kiss in America. To be quite honest, their music.
I think punk is British. I agree with you, Jason.
Yeah, punk. It's like prog as what prog music. That's British. I mean, there are some good American prog bands, but not as good as the British prog bands.
I don't really sort of think punk rather is supposed to be commercialized, is it? It's supposed to be punk. You know, it's
raw, in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't think they could cope with the rawness and the in your face sort of music. Anti-establishment, yeah. But hey ho.
We had a handful of punk bands that were worthy of the genre label, I think. Black Flag, 7 Seconds, Ex-Social, Distortion, just to name a few. Nick says, I picked up some punk stuff at last Sunday's car boot, Mike. I doubt it'll be showcasing that in a video very shortly.
I went on eBay this afternoon just to see what was happening. And I come across someone selling it's Gary Moore's second album, Dirty Fingers. Now, it originally came out on the Jet label. And then back in the 90s, Castle Communications did a reissue. Now, there was a bloke on there today trying to flog a Castle Communications pressing for the same price as a Jet. Now, the Jet version, you're looking at 25 quid on Discogs. The Castle Communication, it's roughly anything from 10 to 15 quid. So I sent him an email.
Yeah.
And I said, mate, you're not going to get 24 quid or 25 quid for a Castle Communication version of Dirty Fingers. I said, because the Jet, that's what the going rate for Jet. I says, I'll do you a favour. I'll give you 15 quid for the Castle Communications. He told me to fuck off.
Did he?
He's not going to, no one will buy that. That'll be up there and he'll have to take it down. No one's going to want to buy that, a reissue for 25 quid when you can get an original for 25 quid. Just because it's your second album, great, but don't try and flog a reissue at the same price as an original.
So you tend to see that they inflate prices on eBay, don't they?
Oh,
Like ridiculously, you know.
yeah, someone put I always look at the status quo stuff, and someone wanted 200 quid for the original Quo album.
200 quid?
Yeah, because it's the original mono version.
Jeez.
I wouldn't pay 200 quid for it.
How much would you say it's worth, really?
I've seen it for 60, 70 quid.
All right. That's a big difference from 200, isn't it?
Yeah. I just don't. I can't justify. And to be quite honest, the cover looks tatty.
I mean, a first press Oasis definitely maybe is about 200 odd quid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind reissues though. Generally speaking, because I trust the quality because it's new. It's not always the case, I know, but some pressing's always better than others.
No, you've got to, if you want to pay that much for an original pressing. I mean, I think the spare parts. I mean, I haven't got my spare parts. Is not an original pressing because that's rarer than the debut. Well, that floats around for 150 quid on eBay.
Yeah, it becomes out of reach, doesn't it, when it's that expensive for most people? It's just too dear. As much as it would be nice to have a first pressing, a reissue is 25 quid or whatever it is. I think I'd rather pay that.
Nick says, I'll give you 99p and a packet of pickles and a pickled egg for the Quo LP. Yeah, I won't pay that. I mean, I've got a copy of the first Quo album on my iPod. I'm happy listening to that until I have it. No, I won't pay that money. It's just ridiculous.
Zeb says, I have a Castle communication pressing of Hawkwind Live Chronicles, been a trusty companion. Now I've updated to expanded 2 CD edition.
There's nothing wrong with that, Seb. If you've been happy with that, then that's great. You're sensible. I mean, Castle Communication did do some good stuff. I've got 1 or 2 bits of Castle Communication.
I rather like them, actually.
They're good quality.
Yeah, I pick them
up. The ones I don't like are these live albums that BMG put out. Because basically, they half-inch the original live albums, give it another title, but it's basically another album that the band officially put out.
They have kind of like, I don't know what it is, a bit of a retro look about them, don't they?
Oh yeah, I mean the covers are always, it's a well presented.
You can even find some sort of early 90s stuff, can't you, quite cheaply on Castle. Compilations and such.
I'm just one of these people that actually I'm just happy to have a copy of an album, a vinyl album. I don't care if it's an original or not. I'm just happy to put that in my collection.
Nick can't seem breaking the £100 barrier for a record. Oh, I have more than once.
Have you?
Yeah, funnily enough, at least one was Lieback. And a Rammstein record store day 12-inch single. It was 90, I think. If I want something, then as long as it isn't totally out of my price range, then I will aim to get it.
I mean, it's doable, but it's a lot of money, isn't it?
Mm.
You know, so there's a lot to go for.
Well, I'm I'm not just, I'm a collector as well as a music listener, a music fan. Some of these plastic dollies I've got would cost me stupid money, but I wanted them because I'm a collector. And it's the same with records. That's why I've got a lot of time for reissues when it's something that's been reissued and the original pressing is just stupid money, and then finally it gets reissued. Like not sure either of you two will remember. Shame Stevie isn't here actually because he'd know what I was referring to. But Monaco, one of Peter Hook's side projects, their debut album, Music for Pleasure, is getting a reissue next month from Music on Vinyl. And the original of that, it goes for hundreds of pounds. So as soon as I saw that it was getting reissued finally, like 25 years later, I'm like, yes, great.
Vinyl,
finding a way for that original, and the reissue looks nice because it's on orange vinyl as well. So, yeah,
vinyl is pretty much an investment, isn't it? Now it's only going to go up, isn't it, with vinyl?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just lucky that I have got quite a lot of things. I mean, the most bizarre one, all my Quo albums that I've just brought are all original copies, which I'm quite chuffed with. To have the original copies. I mean, I've got like my Deep Purple, all my Mark II are all original. I think my Mark III, two Mark IIIs are originals. So I love playing them, and they sound. I play the CD and the remastered, but when you put the album version on, it just sounds. That's just. I don't know how you feel, but when you put the album version on, it just sounds better.
When do you reckon records will see a dip in popularity?
When we all peg it.
I can't see it. Not anytime soon.
No, it's had its dip.
Yeah. It's dip.
And I think the way it won't. You're right. It won't dip because the youngsters are getting into vinyl.
Yeah, I can only see it just continuing.
Yes. That is a great encouragement when you go to record fairs. How many young people are looking through bins?
You're going to have two formats in the future. If I mean, it's even now, really, not saying necessarily in the future, but more so in the future, it'll be vinyl or it'll be streaming. It'll be like one of the two.
That's it, because you can pick up CDs so cheap, can't you?
Yeah, they're having a slight resurgence, aren't they? But nothing too drastic.
A couple of people have said so. I can't say I've noticed myself, but
it's not massive. Cassettes as well had a bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, that wasn't quite the resurgence it was painted to be. That I've seen statistics on that, and even with the so-called cassette revival, the sales of them have been so minimal. To call it a revival, it's like
I think they're just jumping on the bandwagon, aren't they? On the back of
like giving the kiss of life to a tin of tuna, really. Like saying cassettes had been, we're on the way back up. What cassettes are now, and I've got cassettes, some originals and some even more modern ones, but they're a collector's item, pure and simple, and a cheap one as well.
Yeah,
it's like if you're into multi-formatting, you want the CD, you bought the CD, you bought the LP, the vinyl, and it happens to come out on cassette as well, which is usually under a tenner. Then you might as well buy the cassette. Chances are most people who buy it haven't even got a decent cassette player to.
No, it's just going to sit on a shelf, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's but it's a collector's thing, and so I get it from that point of view. because I'm as much about the collecting of these physical items as I am the music. But there's been no upswing for cassette. There has been one, but that's because people have compared it to like the early 2000s, which was the last, about 2001, I think, was the last year where cassette sales were relatively good. And since then, they've absolutely tanked. And yeah, they've gone up a little bit last few years, but it's such a minimal rise in comparison to CD, vinyl, and of course digital and streaming. It's not a fair comparison at all. Yeah, it's like saying, oh, mini disc has had a bit of a revival. It did. There was a national mini disc day for a couple of years in a row, but it was so small scale. It was like hardly anyone had heard of it or heard about it, and I quite liked that because it felt like I was sort of on the inside of a secret society sort of thing. But it didn't mean that suddenly mini disc was going to have this massive explosion like vinyl has, because it'll never happen, and for similar reasons, it'll never happen with cassette either.
Now, Hooker Master spotting about cassettes should be more expensive. Well, back in the day, an album, when I started first buying albums, they were $4.99. Cassettes could either range from $3.99 to $2.99. So I know what you're saying, Hooker Master. You're probably right, but it was cheaper to buy cassettes for some reason.
Herkimer cassettes are way cheaper to produce than vinyl. I've been on websites that you can get your own custom cassettes done, like if you're an artist or a record label, and the prices to get like 100 cassettes compared to even 100 CDs or 100 records, certainly the cassette is always the cheapest option.
I mean, blank cassettes were dirt cheap, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
except the C120s, but no one used to buy C120s because they were.
Well, they snapped, didn't they? Like if you had a decent stereo, you'd look in your manual under the cassette section, and they always say we do not recommend anything over C90 because the tape in a C120 is liable to snap or get eaten up.
Yeah, C6s were my favourite because back in the day, when people recorded album, you'd get side one on one side and side two.
My dad was a big home taper. He'd never buy anything above C90, and I kind of carried that on. I'm like, when I was tempted, think all the music I can fit on there. I can fit 2 hours worth. But I always stopped myself. And when I did see other people, like friends or whoever, or me friend / boss at college radio, on the occasions he'd have like a C120, he'd be like, well, yeah, I need to be careful with this because, it's prone to snapping.
Mm.
You would have C120s, Jason, because you just probably saw that you could get more music on them for a little bit more money, and you weren't sensible enough to realise that there was a reason why people recommended not to go above C90. What's the term? Not Mug's Eiffel. That means something different. Although, funnily enough, that was something Alan Sugar once coined. But false economy. I think C120 is a false economy.
You see, it depends how albums were.
Yeah, some tapes were better than others. But it all depends on the tape formulation as well, and there's a lot of factors.
I mean, when my dad put his Beatles albums on cassette for me, I could get 2 albums on one C90. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Because their albums were only about 36, 37 minutes long.
Yeah. If an album, certainly generally fit on 2 sides of a record, well, one side of a record's not much more than 20 minutes, is it? I think generally. So you're talking like under 45 minutes, really. I mean, yeah. So generally, you could fit an album on each side of a C90 normally. Yeah. I know there's exceptions, but
except Brilliant. that all purposely made their albums 46 minutes or more.
Mm.
You remember that thing, home tape on your LPs for the home taping is killing music.
Yeah,
they really market that.
And he was the one who loved taping off the radio because his stereo, we had a Sony Hi-Fi, and the FM stereo sound. I mean, we talked about this when we did about radio on the Sodcast, Ian, but the sound on it was just so warm and I don't want to say crisp, but it was just so rich. It was a rich sound quality through and through.
Like that.
Well, you know, even though I called him a tight arse for many years because he just stopped buying music and anything he liked, he'd just wait till it was on the radio and tape it. Yeah. But, I can kind of see my dad's point to an extent. The sound, and, he'd buy decent cassettes generally as well. He wouldn't buy the like own brand cheapo stuff. He'd go with like he liked Scotch cassettes. They were pretty good, and I think TDKs are all right.
Yeah, I was a TDK man.
They're good workhorses, weren't they? TDKs.
Yeah, and BAFS, was it BASF were good tapes.
Yeah,
well. German
Never brought Philips because they would chew up within 5 minutes.
And ironically, they were the ones who invented the format.
Yeah, their tapes were horrible.
Yeah.
Type 2 metal cassettes, yeah, I remember them.
Their quality.
I don't think I'm the only one who had equipment that could, handle metal cassettes, because you need extra power into your system for metal.
The problem in buying cassettes is you don't know if they're broken or not, do you? There's no telling unless you play it. I know you could probably look at the tape a little bit, maybe, but it's not like a vinyl. You can pull it out and have a look at it. A cassette could be completely knackered.
Yeah, I mean, I remember. I mean, I used to record gigs off Radio 1 and that. I mean, Jason's got one of them gigs, the Magnum gig. That was done off the radio. But when you could start recording your own CDs and that. And I did all my bootleg tapes and put them on the CD. It was a time-taking thing to do, but took me 3 years to put everything on the CD. Now they're all on my iPod. So I've got all sorts. I mean, I've got the Status Quo 20th anniversary gig. I had that on cassette until they released it properly many years later, and I've got a bootleg concert of one of the Marillion concerts I was actually at, because you'd go to record fairs in them days and then they would straight off the monitor, and they're in pretty good good quality sound. It's a bit like these days when you go on YouTube, when you got concerts recorded on professional equipment.
Yeah.
It's not brilliant sound, but it's okay sound. Yeah, I used to borrow CDs from the library and put them...
Yeah, I used to do that. I borrowed Sgt. Pepper from the library.
I think we've all done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, back in my day, it was albums. You could go and get albums out. A lot of them were scratched to smithereens.
Yeah, I bet they were. Yeah, I bet they were.
Yeah, but you put them on and re-put them on a tape. That's where streaming helps now.
Don't like streaming.
No,
I've got an Amazon Music Unlimited account, which I don't make anywhere near enough use out of it. So I got it mainly because I've got this device. It looks like a little iPod Shuffle, but you sync a playlist from either Amazon or Spotify to it, and then you can take it out and listen to your music on earphones without needing a mobile phone. So I like to take that out when I'm going for a walk or something, and I'm not taking my phone with me. because I'm not out for long. But it's not it. Amazon Music, it's like £12 a month, and it's not worth it for me. But I've not cancelled it just simply because of this little device I've got that I've synced a few playlists to.
Yeah, I obviously use Spotify a lot, to be quite honest, because when I do my rankings, if I haven't got the albums, I still need to listen to them, and that's how I do it. Or on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, if you someone like you who's ranking an awful lot of albums, then yeah, something like Spotify, Amazon Music app, because there's many to choose from. I don't like Spotify. To me, it's like the Coca-Cola of streaming. It's like people just say, "Oh, have you got Spotify?" as like shorthand for do you use streaming, because Spotify was the first. Whereas, there's more than just Coke and Pepsi, and there's more than just Spotify. That's just a personal bugbear to me. That's like when I see other channels and they say, "Oh, check it out on Spotify." It's like, yeah, other streaming services are available, Yeah, but that's a little bugbear.
Yeah, I mean, I because some are not everything's on Spotify, not everything's on Amazon, so I use various different ones. I mean, I use on YouTube. I just play it through YouTube. And now I've got the tuner that I brought with my deck is Bluetooth, and I can just do it all through my phone and play it through my main speakers.
Mm.
I record everything. I record all my vinyl to my computer, any cassettes, all my CDs. It's all on a hard drive. Then I haven't got to dig it out and play it and wear it out.
Yeah, I've actually done that with the stuff I've brought, because I've got a little deck, USB deck, and I just had it to my, because I've got, there's my that's got everything music that I own or owned on that, and that is a 3 terabyte external, so I'm never going to fill that.
No, it's all you need for music.
Yeah, and that is my record collection.
Yeah,
digitalized.
You ever thought about getting another hard drive in case that one?
I've got to. Don't worry, I've got,
because you've got a lot on there.
Yeah, I've got everything on here, and there must be. I haven't even used a terabyte yet.
No. You won't with music. I mean, a terabyte of music is like insane.
Yeah. It's just handy that everything. I mean, it's also got all my comedy on it. It's got everything. I'm thinking, and I just put it in, and in the mornings I'll plug it in if I want to listen to something on here. I'm working away, but but at the end of the day, I'm still a vinyl person. But I can't rely on my thing. I mean, a lot of my CDs are all on my pods anyway. So that's how I listen to my music. I don't think I'll ever go and get the albums because I'd have nowhere to put them.
But you owned them, didn't you? You had them all on CD, didn't you?
Yeah.
You got rid of them.
Yeah, space.
Mm.
It's just space. I had a whole room that was in the house I was in.
Mm.
Just rows upon. Used to annoy my ex, something chronic.
I put most of my CDs in the loft, but my cassettes, because they're supposed to be stored in a sort of dry, warmish area, I've sort of kept them sort of within the house, somewhere.
Oh yeah, remember the torrents where you could legally download albums?
Remember using Napster?
Yeah.
Back in the day, Christ, on dial-up trying to download something would take you hours. A 3 megabyte.
What's the other one that people learn? Lime something.
LimeWire.
Yeah. LimeWire.
Yeah, LimeWire. It took forever to do.
Yeah.
There used to be sites like that for albums as well. I mean, videos as well and movies. I mean, there are some really interesting music sites where people upload their albums and you pay it's pirating, but you pay for it.
Never heard of that one.
There's one that I sort of use as a reference, especially when you go onto YouTube and there's no natural breaks for the songs. So when I'm doing my sort of scripting, I have that up and I put on this site I use. I think it's called Iomo or something. I don't buy stuff off it because but it plays about 30 seconds of a song, so you can actually go and find that bit on the clip on YouTube. So you can, when I'm, to refresh your brain for when I do my rankings. So I'll use it for that. But you'd pay an album, like the latest. What's that thing? An album that's come out. Okay, Sebastian Bach, the one I did today. £2.49 for the whole album that someone's uploaded onto the site. But sometimes people load up a load of shit as well. Dime a Dozen is not only for live stuff, pirated stuff. Yeah, but they all got shut down, didn't they?
What happened to Napster?
I think that got shut down.
Might have been revived once or twice, but I think by that point, iTunes had just basically done what they were doing, but legally and more bigger and better, really.
I don't use iTunes as a lot. I've only got iTunes to load my iPods up. I wouldn't buy the music off there because it's expensive.
I don't buy music from it. I use the app to listen to music, but I don't actually buy anything on there.
Yeah, Metallica hated Napster. They did.
Yeah.
Dime's still up, blimey.
Dime is still up.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to use torrents. I mean, they knacker your computers up.
Yeah. There's no need to use them now, though, is there? There's just
there's plenty of music.
I
mean, it's amazing what on YouTube music albums on there. Okay, the adverts are bloody annoying, but
things were very different in the early 2000s, wasn't there? We didn't have all what we have now, streaming and
Yeah, I'm quite lucky. I've got a program that actually allows me to download music from YouTube, which is useful for when I do some of my videos.
It's crazy to think that we all use dial-up as an internet connection. It's insane, isn't it?
It's like when your first games were on a cassette. Remember?
Yeah.
It took you 20 minutes to load, and then it got towards the end, and it'd say computer error, and you'd have to start again.
I think over in America, I think they had broadband a lot earlier before us, didn't they?
Probably.
I think their internet was free, so I believe, as we had to pay for it over here, like per second, per minute.
Yeah, I mean, that back in the day, and you could hear it. I remember when we got the internet at work, because obviously that's the first place that you'd get it. Oh God, it was a lot.
It was all right for like loading up a web page or something like that, but downloading it was just hopeless, wasn't it? Absolutely hopeless.
Yeah, I think the thing I noticed when I moved where I am now wasn't on glass fiber.
All
It
right.
was still on copper. Oh. But luckily we've got an open reach sort of base over there. I know some of the guys, and he says it's coming. Ring up your provider.
They got like a super one coming in now. I see all the roads being dug up in the towns and
Yeah.
whatever.
And all
Yeah.
the telephone lines eventually go through there. My landline comes through the broadband thing now.
Yeah, they've been upgrading all that sort of stuff around here recently as well. I've been getting knocks on the door from Virgin now saying, "Oh, do you want to take TV and broadband with us?" I'm like, "No, I don't watch enough TV to take a package with you." And as for broadband, yeah, I'm sure you're faster than my provider, but I'm under contract with them and they're reasonable, so kind of make do really.
Yeah, you can't always like jump ship just because something a bit better comes along, can you?
No.
No.
I mean, I've been with Sky since 2000.
Have you?
Yeah, and I've never had any issues.
That's the package, is it? The TV, the internet.
I mean, when I first moved up where I am now, I couldn't have a dish. The housing association wouldn't allow dishes, so I had to come off Sky. I had to cancel. And I was really, but they said go onto this Now TV thing, and then when they said we can do your Sky Glass, I said, well, I've got a telly. I don't want Sky Glass. And then when they come up with this, the little boxes, I had a phone call from them, says, we're now doing these boxes. Do you want one? I went, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I use Now TV.
Yeah, I do for football because
Yeah.
it was getting an offer before the season starts. But
Sometimes I used to pay like a tenner to get like 3 hours worth of football.
yeah, I think I've done
I
that
don't
once
do that anymore.
ago, but I'll just pay like £20 a month for like the season ticket or whatever they call it, which is still a lot really because I don't I only really get it for Nottingham Forest matches, and they're not on every week by any stretch.
No.
If I got a comment about U2 Sunday Bloody Sunday, I like the song.
I love that song. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. It's not edgy. It's a political song, but I don't care about the politics. I like the song.
It's a brilliant song.
I've seen them do it live.
I love the drums in it.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I saw them do it live at they played it live in 1987 on the Joshua Tree tour. So when I saw it, and that was in the Arms Park in Wales. Couldn't get tickets for the love of money for Wembley, right? But I could get tickets to go and see him at Arms Park. So we went to the Arms Park and had a weekend in Cardiff.
Yeah, 24 years ago, All That You Can't Leave Behind came out. Yeah, I know, it's a long time ago. Went straight to #1 in the charts, didn't it? So I believe.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, isn't it?
I know. That album was everywhere. It's like people just buying it. Remember, like...
Did I see Bonner's full mullet in action? I certainly did. He still had a mullet. Yes, I did see the mullet. I think that's when they were at their best on the Joshua Tree, to be quite honest.
I think that's the best album.
It is the best.
I like Acton Baby era, if I'm honest.
I like that album. That was the last album I brought by them.
Great stuff on it. Strong singles. Even Sue Roper, I thought was all right.
Oh, is that the one that they plugged on you? They threw on you?
No. Sue Roper was like it only came out a couple of years after Acton Baby. It's in between that and Pop.
I can't stand Pop. It's a terrible album.
I don't like a lot on it, but I do love If God Will Send His Angels.
I haven't brought a U2 album since Acton Baby.
If God Will Send His Angels is a fantastic song. It's, I think, even more than Sunday Bloody Sunday. I think it might be my favourite U2 song of all time. That, and it were off Pop. But yeah, other than that, I don't think Pop's a particularly strong album myself.
Now, them first albums are their best. You know, Boy, October, Unforgettable Fire, War. Talking of war,
You're right, Mike.
All right, Michael. I've done a war short today. The album War's one of my shorts for today.
Some of the album covers have just the boy in the cover, don't they? And some of them have
Yeah,
war on it.
War's a boy, boy's a boy. October's the one with the dodgy haircuts. They all look about 10. Now, I remember buying the Joshua Tree album. Oh, that is my favourite, though. It's just got some killer tracks on it.
It flows very nicely as well, I think. Wow.
Yeah. But to hear most of that live it's incredible.
Mm.
I mean, the opening of that tour obviously was Where the Streets Have No Name. Absolutely mime. You know, it one of them songs that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
Mm.
It was a great gig.
Probably played to death, that album.
Yeah, I still play it. I think that, and I think Acton Babies, you know, that gets played a lot as well. See, a lot of people don't like The Fly. I love The Fly.
Yeah, I do.
I think the guitar riff and the edge on that is absolutely killer.
Yeah, great single. Straight in at number 1, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it went straight to number 1. Yeah. Yes, it was my mate saw them on that tour, and he said it was even better. The production was even better than the Joshua Tree. I did see that thing on telly on YouTube that they do the 360 thing. I didn't quite like it. It didn't. It looked. I don't know. It just didn't seem right. Nick's got The Fly on 7-inch. That's a good single to have.
Mm.
Just reading what. Just reading some of the.
I'm just looking at your list, Jimmy, of songs.
Oh, you saw it, did you?
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah,
I've not forgotten about your Q&A questionnaire thing either, Simon. I'm just racking my brains trying to think of some original questions, and I'm coming up nitto at the moment. But
yeah, when I looked at that list, I was surprised how many I actually do know. That's some absolute stinkers in.
Yeah, it's not looking too good, is it?
I think the bottom. I think this one, the bottom half of the tier, will be overloaded. There's some in there. My God, how the hell did they get in there?
And these are all number ones.
Some of the best.
Some of them are great. Some of them are just all right, you know.
And there's some.
There's some ones where you just think, how did that make number one? You know.
There was some dross in the 90s.
Candle in the Wind. I'm just so bored of that song, Elton John.
Hey, the spoilers. You can say something for Sunday, mate. The thing about that's actually a cropped list. That the total chart was a top 50, I think, and all the good stuff's from like 31 onwards. In fact, I think in case I forget to mention it on Sunday, I think the 31st biggest selling single of the 90s was Wonderwall by Oasis. And I'm like, it just missed the cut. You know, that's one that I think generally we probably, well, I'm sure, Simon, you would have ranked that pretty high. I would have ranked it high.
I would have as well, because
Jason probably would have ranked it relatively high. And yeah, Ian says he would as well.
But you can't blame the industry. It's the British public. It's their fault.
Well, yeah, it's like I said yesterday. It's like, you know, it was compiled by the worst bunch of music fans around at the time. The Great British Record Buying Public.
Yeah, what do they know?
Yeah. Mike said about the U2 at Red Rocks, great live album. It's better than Rattle and Hum.
Blur or Oasis.
Because it's got a great version of 40 on the Red Rocks. And it's got the best version of Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Mm-hmm. But funnily enough, on the If God Will Send His Angels single, the CD, which I had, came out end of '97. It's got a lovely acoustic version, live acoustic of Sunday Bloody Sunday. It's just, in fact, actually thinking about it, it's Edge singing on it. He's definitely playing guitar, and I think it's him doing the vocals. Unusually, it's a really, nice version.
The best version of Bad is on a thing called Wide Awake in America. It's the best. The best version was the one that they did at Live Aid. When he got that girl dancing on the stage, and they were singing bits of Lou Reed, "Satellite of Love."
How's that for an answer? Definitely, maybe.
Nick says all of them voted for by the readership of the Afghanistan Women magazine. That's his best heckle all night, I reckon.
Save some good ones for Sunday, Nick. Come on.
He likes to heckle, does Nick?
Oh, he'll have. Well, you know, you've both seen the chart. He'll have plenty to heckle.
Dear. I think I might be on form Sunday, Jimmy.
Just play along with me when I tell Jason to wrap his answers up. It'll give you two extra time to talk. I don't go on hours and hours, and you know, because I'm the one who, you know, sort of moderating as well as, you know, being the general main speaker. Just knackers me. But like
I think someone might put it wide. There'll be classic Ian one-line answers.
There's a lot on there which were good at the time. Yeah, at the time it was all right. You know.
Yeah.
What I mean? But,
I think there's some in there that
aged badly.
Well. Yeah, aged very, very badly.
Yeah, just not relevant now. You know, just wouldn't give it the time of day.
Yeah, but yeah, below that top 30, there's all the fairly good stuff. To be fair,
The stuff that we liked that no one else did.
Yeah, the Oasis and everything.
You're going to do a two-part then.
Release here, yes. You let me do a funeral here. I often get the cast of Father Ted coming into your song.
Yeah. Father Ted fans.
Father Ted. Yes, I'm quite looking forward to that on Sunday because I think I was looking at it. I've listened to bits that I hadn't listened to for a little while. I thought, God, I don't like it. Then I still don't like it.
Yeah, the 60s one will be interesting. I do need to go away and do my homework for that because there's when I glanced at it, there was a fair few I've either never heard or I just haven't heard in so long I've forgotten them. You know, I don't know what they sound like.
Yeah, we're going to do it in black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure we could.
Make it, yeah. It wouldn't make the tier ranking thing wouldn't look good in black and white, would it?
Yeah, well, it'd do, I suppose. Can I show my Dana collection? I've not got anything by Dana. Tell you what, though, I did listen to one of my very favourite singles of the 90s today because I managed to buy it again on Discogs, and I played it today. And it's a guilty pleasure, really. I should have included it back when I did Guilty Pleasures on the Sodcast, but it was Time to Say Goodbye by Sarah Brightman and Andrea Bocelli.
That is a nice song.
But the thing is, yeah, it is. It's beautiful. So love it. I mean, I'm not a big classical crossover guy by any stretch, but the thing is, it's a 4-track single, and it's basically a Sarah Brightman single. It's just a duet with Bocelli on track 1, but the two Sarah Brightman tracks 2 and 3 are really good, especially the third one. In fact, I've recorded the records roundup where I show it. And I talk a little bit about it. I used to play track 3, "You Take My Breath Away," on college radio all the time because I had the single back then. And just when I saw it on Discogs again, when I was browsing for New Order stuff, I thought, oh, he's got the Sarah Brightman and Andrea Bocelli "Time to Say Goodbye" single that I used to have. I'm going to get that. I want that back in my collection. But it's not. But I love the track. I love the main track, and track 4's a solo version of it by Brightman. But the actual other B-sides on it are really good as well. It's decent. You know, I like a single where you're getting real value for money. It's often like I bought so many singles in the late 90s up till about, I'd say, 2000, 2001. But I'd just be buying them for the one track that I'd heard on the radio. And then the B-sides were like kind of ropey remixes that I never bothered with or crappy B-sides. So I always liked it when I'd buy a 3 or 4 track single and it actually have 3 or 4 tracks on that I really enjoyed. And this Brightman and Bocelli is one of them, funnily enough. So
I find that I used to find that with when you brought Marillion singles, you didn't just get one good song, and you wouldn't get songs off the album. You'd get songs that were purposely recorded to be on the B side.
Yeah. Me and Simon, we were talking about Oasis a while back, and we said much the same, that some of their B sides. I mean, it's Alan McGee even told Noel Gallagher at the time, it's like you're wasting some of these classic tracks as B-sides. You know, they're not even getting on albums. You know, stuff like the Master Plan and Acquiesce, like real top-tier stuff, real Noel Gallagher written classics. And they were just sort of kind of almost thrown away as B-sides.
Yeah. Iron Maiden did that as well. And Iron Maiden, some of their B-sides, some of their covers are absolutely brilliant.
Ian, on your wheel you do every week,
Yeah.
do you have guilty pleasures on there?
It's on the list. It's ready. I've put them all in a list, and basically, when we take one out, the next one goes on, and it's on there. Guilty Pleasures is on there. Don't worry.
I can just dig out all my Spice Girls albums then for that. That's
Yeah,
easy. Easy enough.
Yeah, Guilty Pleasures is on there.
I'm my Sarah Brightman single, but I don't feel too guilty about that because, like I say, it's a strong single. It's a beautiful song. I think it was. I was reading about the history of it recently, and Andrea Bocelli first recorded it on his own. I think the previous, like 95 or something. It was actually written as walkout music for the retirement match of a German boxer. That's where Time to Say Goodbye, or Conte Partiro, as it was originally called, comes from. I never knew that. All the years I've been loving that song, and turns out it was actually entrance music for a boxer in his final fight. Because I think him and Brightman performed it at his like farewell fight. Was it his name Henry something?
Got a right couple of comedians in the gallery tonight, and Mike and
it's Bocelli, not Botticelli. Yeah, and Nick's Nick's doing the old young ones joke there, the old young ones quote.
Yeah. Yes. What you get undercooked chicken? That's botulism. So yeah, I think that'll just good way to spend a Sunday night, slagging off a few 90s and saying these are good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to predict people's thoughts and stuff, but I think that when we did the 70s and 80s, there was like 2 or 3 that were sort of, at least for me, obvious S tiers. Whereas this, because obviously I'm going to make a decision sort of based on what everyone, I'm going to sort of split the difference kind of thing, like I do.
Yeah.
Anyway, but if there's any that are going to be a unanimous S tier, I'll be absolutely amazed. I really will. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it should be good.
Of course, I've also got the young ones reference, Nick. Yeah, I've been watching the young ones religiously for the last 25 plus years. I think.
Well, tonight, while I was having my tea, I like to stick one of the comedy shows. 30 minutes to have me tea while I'm eating my tea and that. And I had a Fools and Horses one on tonight. And I had the episode. You remember when it starts when Del thinks he's got the Queen Anne?
Yeah, the cabinet.
Yeah. I think that's one of the best endings of ever because of that painting and that line. I've been trying to get rid of this for years. She was going about the authentic because my gran nicked it.
Yeah. All right. Who had 5 minutes past 10 for the first mention of Only Fools and Horses on a Simon stream?
Yeah.
I reckon you should, Simon. We should do our favourite episodes of Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Yeah, we could do that. There's enough of them.
Oh, don't I get included in that?
Of course, yeah. Of course you can.
Yeah. That's it.
I thought you meant like, sort of like a sort of Ian and Richard style video where they
No, not on here.
Oh, on here. Oh, well, in that case, yeah.
It is strictly music, aren't you, Ian?
Well,
it's strictly music on yours.
Yeah, but I do like talking about Only Fools and Horses.
Yeah, so do I.
You know what I'm watching, don't you?
Oh,
yeah. I think that you've got the bargain. I was telling Lee about that, and he said that is a bargain and a half.
How many discs there are in this? It's like, I don't know, 24 discs or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's less in the Blu-ray because obviously on Blu-ray discs you can fit more data on them, but there's still a load in that.
Yeah.
If it's got all the extra, because there's extra episodes that that are kind of they're made by the same people, but they weren't technically part of the World at War series. So you've got a massive 20-something part series, and then you've got all these extras as well, extra episodes and things. It's such good. I mean, the price you paid. I mean, if there's a better bargain out there for a documentary box set, then I don't know what it is.
The greatest documentary box set.
I meant to send you a link for my review, actually, Simon. It's easy to find because I've got a playlist full of my documentary reviews. But spoiler alert, I gave it 9.5 out of 10. So,
right.
And I think I was a little bit stingy not giving it the full 10, to be honest, because it's outstanding. It really is.
It's so detailed, isn't it? It literally does tell you the step by step or what happens, like the whole story. Yeah. Then it goes on to like other countries and things. It's really great, isn't it? How they piece it all together.
As I said, it's the best. It was the best documentary series ever made, and I don't think they'll ever beat that.
Yeah.
I want it on Blu-ray. I want to get it. That is
I got it it was on sale, and Network DVD who produced that. Sadly they went bust last year, and I've said it before. That's so gutting because the amount of good, especially comedy, but not just comedy. World at War and other TV drama, Harry's Game they put out. A load of my favourite stuff of all time. Prisoner. Network have released The Prisoner for the 40th and 50th anniversaries.
Yeah, that's where I got my Professionals box set from.
I always saw Professionals advertised on there. They've done so much work, and for them to go bust is just I was genuinely saddened when I heard the news.
Yeah,
I was like, oh God, like that's such a good company. So good, and who's gonna take over that mantle for releasing all this brilliant stuff from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, etc.
Yeah, but I've got World at War is definitely on my wish list.
Yeah, it's a must watch. I mean, obviously, it's something because it's so long. I mean, you watch it and then it's like, well, I don't think I'll watch it again for another few years. But I am going to watch it again because it's just absolute class. It really is. And Laurence Olivier's narration is spot on as well. He just pitches it absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, we watched it at school. There was, like when we doing, D-Day and the outbreak of war at school, we watched them.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And
it's got quite sort of dark imagery, hasn't it, at the start of the program? It's like very sort of dark, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very dark.
Yeah, very dark.
Yeah, Nick, I watched some of that. It's so silly that Hunting Hitler. I watched, I think all of the first series and maybe a little bit of the second, and after a while, I mean, it got a bit samey. To call it a documentary is a little bit of a stretch because it's just a bunch of daft America. I think there might be one English guy in there as well, just like sort of chasing around South America, claiming like they've got hints of Hitler's supposed escape. There's nothing educational about it at all. If you want to see, I love love's probably the wrong word, but I've got a big interest in World War II era stuff, documentaries, and like especially on the Nazi Germany side of things. I did a review of a couple. The Nazis: A Warning from History, which I think originally was on BBC Two in 1997. That is very, very good. That I gave that a 9 out of 10, I think. And there was like a follow-up many years later about Hitler, and that was a lot shorter of a series. It was only like 3 parts, but it was really good. There's a lot of good stuff about the Nazis and about Hitler. I can't say Hunting Hitler as well because it's not about him. It's about these daft Americans just arsing around, traveling and believing in conspiracies.
Have you read the Sven Hassel books, Jimmy?
No.
Oh, you should. They're brilliant.
I want to
in Germany.
Yeah, what's his name? Sorry.
Sven Hassel.
Yeah, write it down for send it me later, because I've seen plenty of docs and I want to read more actual books, but it's just a case of like, well, where do you start? Because there's so many. It's like, I need, that's the sort of thing I need some proper recommendation. Sven Hassel. The name rings a bell.
Yeah.
We talked about Prisoner last week, Michael.
He was in the German army, and he tells you all the stories he went through. I think it might have like a hint of fiction here and there, but they are really, really good novels. You know.
Yeah.
I think you've done 14.
Anytime sort of Netflix or Prime or whoever put on a new sort of Hitler or Nazis related series, I'll always watch it, even though after a while some of them can be a bit samey as to what you've seen before, because there's only a finite amount of stuff you can really say that's factual, really, and then everything that comes after is like, just you've heard it before. But the Nazis: A Warning from History, if you ever see that DVD, pick it up because it's excellent. And the the Dark Charisma of Adolf Hitler, which is kind of by the same people, that's also good.
Yeah, I'll tell you another one. I can't remember what it's called, but it's narrated by Robert Powell.
Yeah, it's World War II in colour, I think that was, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah,
that's good because his narration is just what. I mean, I love listening to Robert Powell talk. I think he's got
he's very good at narration and voiceover stuff, isn't he? I had that on DVD. I had it was like a big sort of rectangular box set for a few years, and then it was on. It might still be on Netflix actually, but
I think that's where I last saw it on Netflix.
Yeah, I mentioned that when I did my World at War review, because I said I did recommend it. I said if you want something that's shorter than the World at War, but you want something that's quality and it hits all the major points, then World War II in colour is a very good, kind of alternative option.
Yeah, the BBC did one on the Great War, sort of using footage, and that came out in the late 70s, because again, it was very like the World at War, but they were talking to World War One soldiers. Which is fascinating. I mean, when I started out working in care, first home, old people's home I worked in, I had two guys that actually fought in the First World War. So, and they were in their 90s then. And I was so fascinated. And I just, one of the guys, I remember his name, Alf, lovely man. I says, I'm really interested in military and history. I says, if you don't want to talk about it, I'll understand. But no, he got excited because I wanted to learn about what it was like. So that was a great series as well. I mean, I think I was lucky, working in care. I met so many veterans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked after a guy who was part of Lord Lovett's commandos. And he went up Sword Beach, not in a tin hat, in a berry. And the tourists, he was part of, I says, why didn't you wear helmets? He says, because with all the kit we was carrying was heavy. And having that on our heads was even heavier. So we just had our berets and went up the beach like maniacs. Yeah, I mean, another guy looked after. Before the war, he used to play for Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh.
And then he went in the Merchant Navy, and then he transferred to the Navy after the war, and he was at the Yangtze. Remember the Yangtze incident? HMS Amethyst? The ship that the Japanese, the Chinese.
Yes, yeah. I think that's covered on the World at War. I think.
Yeah, he's
It's
on.
American.
Especially, you know, when they went, they would do. He was on that boat, that ship.
Oh wow.
And I mean, I've got the film, you know, Richard Todd and that, and it means more to me, that film, because I actually know one of the, you know, I knew one of the sailors on that ship.
Mm.
Oh, that's not. I helped to decorate a church warden's house, and he was in the same PAL camp as Douglas Bader. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I had a great uncle that took part in the Dresden bombing. He was on that, and I had one of my other great uncles was on the bridge of the Burma Railway, and then one of the other ones was a hurricane pilot. Because my granddad had 6 brothers, so they all had their. So I think that's where I think a lot of the younger generation now. There's no one around from there that it's just to explain all this to them, and
yeah, it's like that generation's sad.
Yeah.
You know, at least
yeah,
died.
if it's on social media, it's true. It's like what's currently going on. If how they use the word that word, I'm not going to say it's a horrible word, but if they want to learn about that, they should go back to the beginning of the Second World War. Then they'll know what that word really means.
Mm.
You know the word I'm talking about. I'm not going to say because it's, but you know they need to go and look at that, and then come back.
Yeah, that's why I think watching stuff like the World at War and World War II anything really that's quality. You know, it's got real historians that have worked on it, and it's well written, well produced, well narrated. I think it's important that we, you know, and fair play to Netflix and people like that who do keep, you know, release these documentaries and keep them up. You know, it's important that, you know, we try and get sort of younger generations to be watching them. I'm always saying to my kids, you know, you've got to, you know, like instead of just like watching stupid crap on YouTube, you know, watch, you know, get some history documentaries under your belt, you know, because they're fascinating. You know, it's not a chore watching them. Not for me, certainly. Like I say, I'm very interested in the German side of things, and I'd like to learn more about the Italian side because that seems sort of not quite covered very well from the stuff that I've seen. There's obviously, you know, World at War there again. There is sections, obviously, but you know.
Yeah, I used to work with a lady whose husband was German, and he was in the Luftwaffe, and he got sort of shot. His plane got damaged, but enough to land it. So he made a decision. He said, "Right, lad, shall we just land the plane and see what happens?" And they were all farmers, you know, come from farming families, and they went and worked in farms, and that's where the woman I worked with met her husband. And I got, you know, obviously I got to know. I knew him for years. The time I was working in this day centre, you know, and we used to sit there talking hours, and he was telling me things about their training, and they had no choice, you know, and he says 90% of them didn't want to fight, and he said that's why we made the decision to ditch the plane in England, get out, and become prisoners of war. And he didn't go back. Apparently, he didn't go back to Germany until the late 70s. It was the first time he went back to Germany. That's when his when his mother died. He didn't want to go back because he knew he'd probably.
I've just well, you mentioned about Germany again. I've just remembered. Have you seen? It's pretty new. It only came out a few months ago. Have you seen the documentary on Netflix, Ian, about the Cold War?
I've seen it. I've put it in my watch list, things to watch.
What? So you haven't watched? You haven't actually started?
Watched it. I haven't started watching it, but it's there to watch.
It's so good. It's so good.
Oh,
Brilliant! It's brilliant. Yeah. It's how many parts? About 7 or 8, I think. And they're all.
That's a bit of a binge one.
Oh, I was hooked. I really was. Yeah, that is a massive recommend. I've been tempted to do a review of it. I nearly did one after I'd finished watching it. I think I'm going to watch it again at some point this year, and then maybe attempt to review. But that's way up there for me, and it's surprising the amount of famous talking heads are on it. Certain ones coming later on, but just about the Cold War, about Russia, and the partition of Berlin and all that sort of stuff. You'll love it, Ian. You really, it's so excellent that. It's a must watch as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, have you watched that thing that Sug's done? Digging up the going like digs and finding artifacts and.
No, I haven't.
I don't know where it's on, but one of the places they visited is where my granddad worked after he got had his finger shot off because he was a mechanic. They sent him up there to do a lot of the mechanic works ready for D-Day. So that was really interesting to watch because that's where my granddad worked. So digging up aeroplanes. I love it when you get these programs and they find an aeroplane and they bring it out of the earth and there's just one of these metal detectors going on to the Eastern Front in Poland, and they found dog tags and crockery and bits of uniform, toothpaste tube, all with the German and the swastika on, because everything had, even this toothpaste.
Yeah,
I love that sort of thing as well, digging up history.
Yeah.
The Time Team. I love.
That was a great series.
It's on YouTube. It's got its own channel.
Really?
Yeah. It's brilliant. It's maybe not be on telly anymore, but they're still making stuff on YouTube. Sat and watched some the other night. They went to this place in Wiltshire where the 101st Airborne went when they come from America before they went off to D-Day. Fascinating. Yeah, just type in Time Team on YouTube. You'll find that it's got its own channel if you like that sort of thing.
I'm watching the Grimleys on YouTube. Remember
that? The Grimleys.
Yeah, with Noddy Holder in it as well.
Yeah. Played a teacher, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
A singing teacher.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, very good. Amanda Holden in it. And who was that comedian? I can't think of his name now. Played the PE teacher.
Oh, it's gone.
So Brian Connolly.
Yeah. It's a puppy.
Yeah.
Hold on, Nick. There's a first on this channel, on the live stream. Let's just move these out of the way. It's in Monopoly. Nick's just mentioned something about a board game. Nick? That's for Nick.
Hey, I'll make you big.
Yeah, there you go, Nick. I've still got it.
Oh, I'd like to play that. I've never played it.
Oh, it's cool.
It's a brilliant game. Takes hours. But yeah,
the best ones always do, though. I don't feel I've had a proper game of Monopoly unless it's lasted about 3 hours and everyone's like at each other's throats by the end of it.
Yeah, so that's the first. We're not showing records, we're showing board games.
We show everything here, don't we?
Yeah.
Anything.
I done that one especially for Nick.
Can you open it up?
I certainly can.
I'll make you big again.
Now, there may be things in here that may offend people.
Is there any magazines in there?
Oh, you get... I'll show the board. This will bring back memories.
That's massive.
Well, there's your playing board.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to play that. I really would.
You get a nice little booklet as well. It's got about the history and the real escapees of Colditz.
Oh, wow.
You get a little booklet, and all the cards come in this wonderful little box. That's the lid.
Cool.
And then you get all your your security cards. Obviously, the black ones were the Germans. I'll see if I can remember this now. The blue ones, Americans. Red ones, the British. Obvious which one they are. The Dutch.
Oh.
The French. Now, the green ones, I can't remember who the green ones were. Have a look in the book, it should tell me. Polish.
Oh.
So there we go.
Cool.
The Colditz.
I've got a friend who runs a YouTube channel about board gaming, and he most of the stuff he covers is like sort of modern stuff, but he is a fan of like old ones, and I might ask him about that. I see if he's ever played it, and if he hasn't, see if I can persuade him to try and pick it up. Although I don't know, I imagine it might be expensive on second-hand market, maybe.
I don't know, but obviously this was a Christmas present for my grandparents. Many.
It looks like something that probably hasn't been reissued in quite a few years.
No. It's just a great thing to have. And Lee and I play it a bit. It's just, I've had hours of fun. And I mean, when it came out, it was having it for Christmas. Christmas, back in the day when the family got together, you had to pay your new board game.
Yeah.
And we sat down, and my granddad loved playing this. I wonder, my nan always thought, did he buy it for me, or for him to play?
Yeah.
Both, maybe.
And the other thing, is when both sets of grandparents come round, and both my granddads, they were plotting against the world. I've got all sorts of here of games.
Or Ian, if I ever visit you for whatever reason, like on the way to something, I insist like we have a go on that. I really want to play that. I really do.
Yeah, it's more fun when there's you have everybody round the table. I've only done it a few times, but it's an intense game.
Mm.
We started at lunchtime and we didn't finish it. It went on until either someone escaped. It took about 4 hours.
Yeah.
We'll have to go up to your house, won't we, Ian?
Yeah, there you go. A final community Colditz game.
Yeah.
Right, fellas, going to end it there now then.
Yeah.
We'll do it all again on Sunday.
Yep. See you there. The podcast.
Yeah. See you on that Sunday evening.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday.
See you Sunday. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.